We're going to put the new 2024 Yamaha MT-09 up against its closest Japanese rival, the Kawasaki Z900, head-to-head across various aspects to figure out which of these 900cc-ish naked bikes is the best fit for you. Without further ado, let's start with the engines. Powering the MT-09 is the liquid-cooled inline 3890cc DOHC engine, which Yamaha calls the CP3 or cross-plane, a term that's actually kind of redundant. Unlike the Yamaha R1, which boasts a genuinely unique firing order, labeling the R1 with cross-plane truly distinguishes it from competitors. However, the same cannot be said for the MT-09. Although calling the MT-09's engine a cross-plane is technically correct because it's the nature of that inline 3 design to have the cranks cross each other, what the MT-09 has is not really unique, and almost every other inline 3 bike on the market has the same setup, a 120 crank pin offset with a 240-degree firing interval, which is the same thing you find on MV Agusta bikes and almost all of Triumph's triples engines. The only unique and true inline 3 crossplane out there might be the Triumph T-plane crank found on the Tiger 900 and 1200, which has an uneven 270-degree firing interval. Moving on to the Z900. It runs on a bigger engine that also has more cylinder, a liquid-cooled inline 4948cc DOHC engine, which also has a slightly higher compression ratio than the MT. Regarding the transmission, both bikes utilize 6-speed wet clutch transmissions, equipped with an assist and slipper clutch. Then in terms of fuel capacity, the Z has a larger tank, capable of carrying 3 liters more fuel than the MT. And as for fuel consumption, the Z900 with its larger displacement, compression ratio, and cylinder count naturally consumes more fuel, around 14% more than the Yamaha. Then in terms of riding range, although the MT is more fuel efficient, it has less range than the Kawasaki due to its smaller tank. So how do these engine specs translate to the power output? As for peak horsepower, the Z900, which boasts more cc and cylinders, generates 125 horsepower at the crank, which is 6 more than the MT. In the torque output department, the MT, which stands for Master of Torque, falls short compared to the Z900, churning out 5 Nm less. But notably, it reaches its peak torque earlier than the Z at a lower RPM range. Weight-wise, the MT-09 leads by a wide margin, tipping the scales at just 193 kilograms wet. That's a staggering 19 kilos lighter than the Z, which ultimately brings the MT's power-to-weight ratio higher than the Kawasaki, despite the Z900 having more horsepower. All of this suggests that the Kawasaki has a higher top speed and more power at the very top end, outshines the MT on the highway or in fast-moving traffic. While on the other hand, the MT is lighter and boasts a punchier bottom to mid-range grunt, making it the better choice for city commuting with frequent stop-and-go. But don't get me wrong, the Z can still handle daily urban commuting effortlessly, and while its low to mid-range power might slightly behind the MT's, it's still very potent and easily capable of popping a wheelie in the first 2 gear, or maybe even in third. Both Kawasaki and Yamaha offer 3 color options to choose from, but not all of them are available everywhere. Talking about features, the MT easily outmatches the Z, thanks to the many features it has that the Z doesn't. The Z has ABS brakes, but it's a pretty basic one. Unlike the MT, it doesn't have fancy features like lean sensing or cornering ABS, because it lacks an IMU sensor. The Z still uses a traditional cable throttle, but although it isn't ride-by-wire yet, it gets 3 preset plus 1 customizable modes to choose from that are integrated with the traction control. And there are also 2 power modes, low power and full power, where the low power mode limits output to approximately 55% of full power. As for the MT, it comes with 3 presets plus 2 customizable modes and 4 levels of traction control that use lean angle and will speed data from the IMU to automatically adjust the degree of intervention by the TC. Next, the MT includes a quick shifter and auto blipper as standard features, whereas these aren't available for the Z. There are also more features that the Z does not have, such as cruise control, slide control, adjustable wheelie control, and backslip regulator. Then, on the cockpit, both are fitted with a TFT display that has smartphone connectivity via Bluetooth, which is good for receiving message notifications, making calls, controlling music player, and more. Now let's listen to how they sound. First up, Let's hear how the Z's inline-4 engine sounds with the Akrapovic exhaust installed. Next is the MT-09's inline-3 engine. Chassis-wise, it's another easy win for the MT. In terms of frame, the Z900 gets a trellis frame made from steel, while on the other hand the MT gets a more racy perimeter-type frame, made from aluminum, which plays a big role in its lighter weight. As for the forks, the MT is equipped with a 41mm upside-down Kawasaki fork that is fully adjustable, while Z's 41mm Showa fork is only adjustable for preload and rebound. At the rear, they both sport monoshocks with adjustable preload and rebound, and when it comes to stopping power, the Z get a budget Nissan 4-piston axial calipers, while the MT fitted with radial mount calipers from Advix, and both bikes have similar-sized disc brakes. Both share the same tire sizes, 120mm up front and 180mm at the rear. As for seat height, the MT sits a bit higher, 5mm taller than the Z, and dimensions-wise, it's more compact than the Z, being 5mm narrower in width and having a wheelbase that's 25mm shorter. With a bigger engine and more cylinders, the Z packs a bit more punch at the top end, and on top of that it's also renowned for its buttery smooth power delivery. On the flip side, the MT boasts an inline-3 engine that offers more character and more grunt in the low to mid-range. Coupled with its lighter weight and more upright riding position, it is ideal for urban commuting, but it may begin to gas out sooner than the Z when pushed to its limits on the highway. In terms of features, it's a clear win for the MT. It's packed with a lot of features that are usually found on premium superbikes. And as for chassis, it's the same story. The MT got a more premium aluminum perimeter frame instead of a steel trellis, a fully adjustable fork, and radial mount calipers. But all that fancy stuff comes with a bigger price tag. The MT-09 is priced at $10,599, while the Z900 is a bit cheaper at $9,899, saving you $700. If you're curious about the differences between the new 2024 MT-09 and the current 2023 model,